has been around for a long time, and we're constantly making new or old discoveries that have been lost or forgotten over the years. And one of the places where oddities turn up is in the deep depths of the earth, including things we've never seen before. These next videos are going to bring out our inner archaeologists. We promise. And you won't need a shovel or a bulldozer for this deep dive. 15 most amazing things buried underground. Underground War Hospital. This maze of tunnels covers an area of about 75,000 square feet, almost invisible from the surface, except for the entrances. This vast concrete maze is built under a low hill in the heart of the Guernsey countryside, on an island between France and England. The underground hospital and ammunition store is the largest structural reminder of the war occupation existing in the Channel Islands. However, the complex now seen today did not appear on the 1942 construction maps and only appeared a year later, then designed for use as a shelter. However, the decision was made for it to be converted for use as a hospital. It took 2.5 years for the complex to be built. Work on both tunnels was almost complete, apart from one link gallery just inside the joint main entrance and part of the northern entrance tunnel, which was never concrete lined. By September 1944, German records show that over 25,000 square feet of rock had been excavated and thousands of pounds of concrete had been poured. But construction of such a huge complex came at a price. There were several accidents, the guidebook stating that one rockfall killed 6 people, while an accidental explosion killed a further 17 workers, with many being entered at a cemetery nearby. Fasten your seatbelts, because it's time for today's sweet topic. Imagine digging up this monster in your backyard. You're gonna need more than a shovel to unearth this beast that looks like a perfectly preserved crocodile head. Have you ever wondered what the largest crocodile ever was? Based on fossil evidence, the longest crocodile ever to live measured 40 feet long and weighed 17,600 pounds and lived about 7.5 million years ago. So if you did manage to dig this bad boy out of the earth, consider yourself lucky. Not only have you found an incredible fossil, but there's the likelihood that the rest of its remains could be buried nearby. But even better news is that massive monsters like this no longer exist. So tell us your thoughts on this mega croc discovery in the comments below, and use the hashtag #SweetTopic. Mary King's Close. Although it was closed to the public for many years, Mary King's Close is now reopened to citizens and visitors. Here, you'll discover tales of the plague victims, murderers, and their prey, all of which have now become ghosts that haunt the close. This is a historic place located under buildings on the Royal Mile in the historic Old Town area of Edinburgh, Scotland. It took its name from one Mary King, a merchant who resided here in the 17th century and later closed to the public for many years, but not anymore. During a visit, people get the chance to see the living spaces of the inhabitants of the old town. You might even be lucky enough to meet a ghost named Annie, a small girl that cries inconsolably because she lost her doll hundreds of years ago. So, here's a tip. Many visitors bring toys, sweets, or dolls to give to Annie so that she can rest in peace and no longer haunt the alleyways of Mary King's Close. In fact, it has a reputation for hauntings, with several paranormal investigations taking place. Still, this intense tourist experience isn't for everybody. It reflects the poverty, gloomy, and ill-infested Edinburgh from the 16th to the 17th century. Alien masks. In 1986, a startling discovery was made in southwest China. 2 sacrificial pits filled with strange bronze masks, a divine tree meant to correct heaven and earth, and a life-sized statue of an enigmatic shaman king. They belong to an unknown civilization over 3,000 years ago. Among the most intriguing items recovered here is an intricate mask formed from sheets of gold, not a standalone item, but was likely placed on a larger head shaped from bronze. The mask bears features that suggest it would slot into the face of a large bronze head measuring 49 by 29 inches. The biggest bronze head ever found at the site. Many of the other items unearthed here were bronze figurines, jade knives, ceremonial vessels known as zun, and more than 140 elephant tusks. Archaeologists have found nearly 2,000 artifacts. As for the masks, these masks were unearthed from sacrificial pits, where archaeologists also found decorative animals including dragons and snakes, a giant wand, and sacrificial altars. But these large bronze masks with angular human features, including exaggerated triangle-shaped eyes, big noses, and huge ears, do not reflect how regular people look. Were aliens involved? Its discovery rocked the archaeological world. Now, $150,000 in cash. Near the town of Johnsburg in Illinois, this guy was cooking a roast when he decided that broccoli from his garden would be perfect. Wayne Sabaj walked over to the garden and spotted several bags which he thought were litter on his lawn. It wasn't litter. It was $150,000 in cash, he explained. So I went over, picked it up, took it to the picnic table, opened it up and said, "Wow, it's a bunch of money." As he searched among the plants, he came across a duffel bag containing bundles of $20 bills. Then came into the house, looked at my dad and said, "Now we're really in trouble." He brought the money inside where he and his dad sat at the kitchen counter and counted the bills. The man admitted he considered keeping the cash, but feared who might be coming back to retrieve it. They immediately agreed they would call the police. Well, almost immediately. He said he decided to turn in the money because he figured it would cause much more problems than it solved. When the local sheriff's department arrived, they discovered a second bag. The bags contained a total of $150,000. And the good news is police said if the owner does not come forward, the lucky man might be able to claim the money. Nazi treasure train. Treasure hunters in western Poland started a long-awaited dig for a Nazi-era train that legend says is buried inside a tunnel and carries looted gems. It's a so-called treasure train, believed to have been hidden by Nazi troops in a mountain tunnel as the Germans fled this area at the end of World War II. The tale claims the train, full of valuables, including artwork, was concealed in a sealed-up rail tunnel or mine. But despite numerous searches being made since 1945, including ones by the Polish Army during the Cold War, no evidence of the train, its tracks, or treasure have ever been found. Historians and excavation experts have always said there's no such train buried beneath Polish soil. But the treasure hunters were unfazed. The hobby archaeologists went ahead with their project regardless, sinking tens of thousands of dollars into the underground treasure hunt. The search culminated in a dig involving the Polish military, state officials, and privately funded individuals. However, excavations were halted when the detected anomaly was found to be natural geology. Interest in the train led a group of enthusiasts to construct a full-size replica of Nazi armored train with the hope of it becoming a tourist attraction. Secret elevator shaft. This cave was found located inside a train tunnel and has quite an extensive history. It had signatures dating back to the Civil War, lighting, railings, and an elevator built in 1929 that went over 1,000 feet down into the cave, but its exact location is still a mystery. It's believed to be in the Lookout Mountain Caverns, the second longest known cave in Hamilton County. Its map length of 2,481 miles places it at 361st on the United States Long Caves list. The cave is closed and public access is forbidden. A mythical entrance, an unverified legend, is located in the vicinity of Lookout Mountain, Alabama, approximately 82 miles away from this place. And yet, after some searching, people are managing to find the entrance to the secret elevator shaft. Despite being closed, the cave is bisected by a tunnel on a second railroad just south of the main entrance, forcing one to emerge on the railway inside the tunnel and then access the rest of the cave from there. The entrance may have been closed in 1870 by dynamite due to moonshining. The legend has received significant attention from geologists and others. And as you can see inside, it's no picnic to get to the secret elevator shaft. Wedding ring on a carrot. A Canadian woman who lost her engagement ring years ago while weeding her garden on the family farm is wearing it again. You're not going to believe this story. It started back in 2004 when Mary Grams was doing some gardening on her farm when she noticed something missing from her ring finger. Her diamond ring was gone. The gift from her husband had been on her finger for almost 50 years. Feeling embarrassed, she didn't tell anyone. So she went out and bought a replacement ring and carried on as if nothing had happened. No harm, no foul, right? No one was the wiser for years until Mary's daughter-in-law decided she wanted some carrots from the garden. So when she went to harvest vegetables, Lo and behold, she spotted the ring while washing an unusually shaped carrot. The ring was wrapped around the carrot she picked. Her hubby instantly knew it was his mom's, so he called her, and Mary was reunited with her long-lost engagement ring. We can only imagine how happy she was to get that phone call. Looking back, the grandmother said she wished she had told her husband, who had already passed by then, but she said he would have found the discovery very humorous. Roman Villa. One of the biggest and most elaborate Roman villas in Britain has been unearthed in Wiltshire, England. It was discovered by a rug designer as he was carrying out some work at his farmhouse. He was trying to install lighting for casual games of ping pong when he struck something hard underground. So the rug designer and DIY electrician took a photo and sent it off for more information. And within 24 hours, archaeologists descended onto the family's garden. And surprise, surprise, these mosaics are essentially the demolished or collapsed wings of a Roman villa of such high class that it's possible the villa belonged to a Roman emperor at one time. After an 8-day dig, archaeologists unearthed more of the elaborate and extraordinarily well-preserved villa, thought to be one of the largest ever found in the country. Dating between 175 and 220 AD, the grand home is thought to have been 3 stories high. The government agency helping excavate the site said it could be one of the largest villas ever found in the UK. The find is of national significance, obviously, and it's not every day someone stumbles upon a 1,000-year-old piece of history doing home renovations. The mosaics weren't just works of art. Staffordshire Hoard. The Staffordshire Hoard is the largest hoard of Anglo-Saxon gold ever found, made up of thousands of items, including pieces of weaponry and dozens of ornate sword pommels. So, could they have been part of a king's collection that had somehow fallen into the wrong hands? Dating from the period around 650 AD, when the kingdoms of England were battling for prominence, this was a treasure trove left behind. It essentially is a war hoard consisting of spectacular items experts believe were captured in battle by armies from the kingdom. But who found it? A man with a metal detector, that's who. He heard his machine beep in a field and started digging. He did not expect to find what became famously known as the Staffordshire treasure. It consists of almost 4,600 items and metal fragments, amounting to 11 pounds of gold, 3 pounds of silver, and some 3,500 pieces of jewelry. It included important items such as a large cross and a curious gold garnet item referred to for years as the mystery object, now believed to have been a jeweled ornament that sat on top of a bishop's headpiece. That finding alone completely transformed experts' understanding of this time. Underground metropolis. 18 stories below ground in Turkey's Cappadocia region, the ancient city of Derinkuyu remained hidden for centuries, and it could have stayed there forever. The underground city was rediscovered in 1963 when a man knocked down a wall in his basement and stumbled across a hidden room. It isn't every day that you knock down the walls of your house only to stumble on a strange chamber behind one, a secret passage that leads to an entire city below the ground. What this homeowner discovered was one of the entrances to an ancient underground city that was constructed sometime between the 15th and 12th centuries BCE. It extends as much as 250 feet into the depths of the earth and was designed to offer shelter for roughly 20,000 people. From there, an excavation revealed the impressive network of tunnels connecting ancient churches, schools, and living quarters. Archaeologists stumbled on its kind dwelling, kitchens and separate facilities for storing food, oil, and wine, bathrooms and bedrooms as well. Even the smallest voids were used mostly as tombs. It's not the biggest nor the oldest of all the known underground cities in the area. However, with its 18 levels, it's the deepest one in the entire world. World's worst video game. It's been dubbed the Great Video Game Burial of 1983. But did Atari really toss millions of cartridges of its biggest flop in a landfill southeast of Albuquerque? The E.T. game had been partially blamed for the collapse of the video game industry in the early 1980s. After its critical and commercial flop, Atari was reportedly lumped with most of the 5 million cartridges. But where did they go? It's been a mystery for almost 40 years. A video game, E.T. the Extraterrestrial for Atari, was allegedly so bad, the company tried to get rid of all the copies. and it was rumored truckloads of the game were buried in a landfill. The movie E.T. was a huge deal at the time. The film was released in the United States on June 11, 1982, and would go on to overtake Star Wars as the highest-grossing film of all time, a record it would hold until 1993. So a video game was an obvious, easy sell to E.T. fans, just not this one. And recently, they unearthed a horde of discarded Atari video games that had been buried in a landfill southeast of Albuquerque. Considered to be the worst game ever made, the first batch of cartridges was uncovered after 3 hours of digging, but the quantity that had actually been buried remains a mystery. Classic Ferrari. Ferrari is ranked as the 10th largest car manufacturer, worth $52.21 billion. And the car came to be because of Enzo Ferrari and the first Ferrari-badged car debuting in 1947. So why was this vintage version buried in the ground? In 1978, some children were playing in the backyard of their home, and while digging in the mud, they found something unusual and big just below the surface. Local police officers in the area were flagged down to come and take a look at the mystery buried in the backyard, saying it felt like the roof of a car. And it was. And not just any car, a classic Ferrari. Turns out this buried Ferrari was stolen in 1974. Just how did this 264 Dyno Ferrari come to be buried in this backyard? Investigators learned that the car had been purchased by a man as a gift for his wife's birthday. 2 months later, the Ferrari was stolen, and the case of the buried Ferrari remained a mystery until 4 years later. Neither the present tenants nor the home's owner knew anything of the vehicle. Eventually, the vehicle was put up for auction and was finally sold. And thanks to the new owner's careful attention, a custom license plate was put in place saying "Dug Up." It could only happen in Hollywood. Holy frequency. Recently, researchers detected the presence of a strong double resonance frequency inside a 5,000-year-old mortuary temple on the Mediterranean island of Malta. During testing, a deep male voice turned to these frequencies stimulated a resonance phenomenon throughout it, creating bone-chilling effects. An underground temple or tomb. This underground complex was created in the New Stone Age as a depository for bones and a shrine for ritual use. And now, a chamber known as the Oracle Room has a fabled reputation for exceptional sound behavior. Sounds echo up to 8 seconds. It dates back to nearly 3,500 years ago and holds a unique secret. Its structure resonates at 111 Hz, or the holy frequency, and the frequency isn't just restricted to one room. The builders created a series of phenomenal temples with mirroring underground catacombs, all resonating at the same sonic frequency. Sound vibrates and the underground system stores vibrational energy. According to archaeological reports, the first people here practiced earth and nature-oriented rituals, experiencing the divine cycles and rhythms of earth, moon, sun, and the seasons. Salt Cathedral. An hour outside of Colombia's capital city is one of the country's architectural wonders. It's a pillar of strength for the area's residents and also one of Bogota's most popular tourist attractions. It's a series of underground chambers located in a former salt mine, a salt cathedral. Essentially, it's an underground church built in a tunnel of a salt mine in the Halite Mountains. Originally constructed in 1954, significant structural problems led to its closure, and then it reopened after a prominent architect and an engineer tackled the problems. Reopening in 1995, the walk down these tunnels is a series of rooms and chambers including 14 small chapels and 3 large shrines, and the impressive large cathedral that can hold up to 8,400 people. Throughout the tunnel rests beautiful salt and marble sculptures, all marvelously lit with blue and purple lighting. Not only is it considered one of Colombia's paramount artistic and architectural accomplishments, but it was also honored with the #1 of the 7 wonders of Colombia. This area of the country is rich in salt mines, active since the 5th century BC. Göbekli Tepe. Located in modern Turkey, this is one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. The discovery of this stunning 10,000-year-old site in the 1990s sent shockwaves through the archaeological world and beyond, with some researchers even claiming it was the site of the biblical Garden of Eden. and it was only discovered after a farmer discovered something strange under the soil. 6 miles from Urfa, an ancient city in southeastern Turkey, there are massive carved stones about 11,000 years old. The megaliths predate Stonehenge by some 6,000 years. The place is called Göbekli Tepe, or Potbelly Hill in Turkish. The many examples of sculptures and megalithic architecture which make up what's perhaps the world's earliest temple predate pottery, the invention of writing, the wheel, and the beginning of agriculture. When scientists visited the hill, they saw some broken slabs of limestone and assumed the mound was nothing more than an abandoned medieval cemetery. Unlike the stark plateaus nearby, Göbekli Tepe has a gently rounded top that rises 50 feet above the surrounding landscape. And to experts, the shape stood out. It was clear right away this was a gigantic Stone Age site. As you can see, sometimes the most exciting things are happening underground. Who can say what kind of wonders we uncover in the future? It just means more great videos like these. So like and subscribe and stick around for more great content.